Okay. So, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome to all participants joining us from India and across the globe. So, on behalf of RISE Jhansi Incubation Centre, Jhansi Smart City and Startup India, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to today's special session, Global Dreams, Local Roots, Innovations and Leadership. So we are deeply honored to have with us Professor Dr. Marc Oliver Opresnik and Mr. Tuhin Mukherjee, sir, a renowned global mentor and the distinguished UN WFP mentor. So, whose work has inspired innovators and leaders around the world. Sir, it's truly a privilege to have you with us today. Your insights on innovation and leadership and global collaboration will surely enlighten startups, entrepreneurs, and young leaders here in India. So at RISE, we believe that while our roots are local and dreams must be global, and today's session perfectly embodies that spirit. So without further delay, I would like to extend a heartfelt welcome to Mr. Professor Dr. Marc Oliver Opresnik and invite you, sir, to share your thoughts and valuable experience with us. Please, sir.
Yes, good afternoon. Namaste. Thank you very much for the beautiful introduction. My name is Marc Opresnik, and I'm honored to talk to you today. So I'm a distinguished professor of marketing and management, focused on building a better world through education. So I'm based in northern part of Germany, in Lübeck. I'm also honorary professor at the New Delhi Institute of Management and a global thought leader at the Academic Speakers Bureau at the London School of Economics and Political Science. I'm a visiting professor to top-tier international business schools, such as Judge Business School at the University of Cambridge or the Side Business School at the University of Oxford. I'm also the global co-author of Philip Kotler and authored more than 50 books on marketing and strategy. So these are some of the companies we do work for, and these are some of the publications I did. Here you can see the most important one globally with Philip Kotler, which is Marketing Introduction, which is the best-selling marketing book on the planet. This is just what we did with Tuhin, my friend Tuhin Mukherjee in India. We did the first Indian edition for social media marketing. And what is also very important, not only that we included a lot of Indian corporations, right? But we also donate one meal to one child in need for every book that is being sold. So we have a collaboration here with the UNVFP. And that is what I always like to refer to. Although this is an old acronym here, we are living in the VUCA world. So VUCA is an acronym which was coined by US military in the times of the Cold War, but still it's prevailing today, also in a world which is disrupted and impacted heavily by AI. So we are having volatility, and this calls for entrepreneurs and for companies and organizations to have a very, very clear vision what we want to do. We want to inspire people, and we want to start with the purpose of the organization, and this is very, very paramount. The second lever here is uncertainty, and uncertainty means that we need a sophisticated understanding, not only as to the customers or stakeholders, but to all kind of interest groups of the organization. And as you all know and experience every day, the world is becoming more complex than ever before. So it means that we need to be clear about our purpose, and we need to be clear in our communication about our mission and vision. And probably one of the most important aspects in the VUCA terminology is the ambiguity. So it means that everything is having different kind of meanings. Everything is more volatile than ever before. So it is also, volatility is implying that organizations and entrepreneurs and managers and leaders need to be more agile than ever before. So I think this is setting the perfect stage for every kind of innovation and every kind of leadership. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between managers and leaders. So this is what my friend and my mentor, Professor Philip Kotler, so the guru and the father of modern marketing, He calls him the guru of the gurus. And Professor Peter Drucker was Austrian-American management guru. And he said, management is doing things right. But leadership is doing the right things. So management is about, you can phrase it like that. Management is about efficiency. It's about operational excellence. But leadership is about doing the right things. It's about vision. It's about inspiration, inspiring others. And that is a lovely story here I have about the development of a certain kind of industry. And this story is coming from my friend, Guy Kawasaki. And Guy Kawasaki was the chief evangelist to Apple. So he was working directly for Steve Jobs. And he's always telling this kind of a story. And I'm referring to him here. And he calls it ICE 1.0. ICE 1.0 was in the early 1900s. So ice was cut out of lakes by men because it was hard physical labor. It was only done by men. So there were organizations hiring men to cut ice out of lakes. 30 years later, ICE 2.0 came along, and ice was no longer cut out of lakes, but it was centrally frozen and then delivered to restaurants and households. Another 30 years later, ICE 3.0 came along. Everybody could have, with a refrigerator, their personal ice factory at their homes. And now the interesting question, and Guy was researching that, how many of the companies who hired men to cut ice out of lakes built fridges or had ice factories? Answer, none. So when the ice factories came along, all the companies that hired men to cut ice out of lakes were bankrupt. And when the fridges came along, all the ice factories were closing down, basically. So none of the people, none of the organizations, none of the managers was actually behaving like a leader, doing the right things and jumping to what we call in innovation management, jumping to the next S-curve, because that is what is actually meant by that. And we see it all around of us. So every kind of industry is disrupted. So there's creative destruction that Drucker was referring to that long ago. We see it when we look at the newspapers, magazines, books, music industry, entertainment in general. So Spotify is a very good example. It is also showing perfectly that once you're, so even if you're disrupting a market and you're very successful as an entrepreneur, as a startup, right? You always have to keep on moving. You always have to keep being agile, because Apple was disrupting the music industry in 1982 with the iPod, and Apple sold more music than all the music labels put together. But then Apple was disrupted by a small Swedish company called Spotify. Nobody ever heard about. Apple didn't even know where Sweden was. But Spotify was disrupting Apple. Now, that is paramount to understand. So innovation leadership means to empower and inspire people and organizations and countries to manage the S-curve jump, not to just improve on technology. So we can see it here. I was doing this here in one big event, Marketing Strategy Summit in Turkey. I was presenting that as to AI. Now you see it on the S-curve here. This is the research and development output. This is the input. And you see that on the S-curve itself, this is evolution. So this is improvement of products, of technology, of services, right? Of organizations. But ICE 1.0 to 2.0 means you're jumping to the next S-curve. And the next S-curve, this one is innovation. This is creative disruption. This is transformational innovation. And very few companies, like we've seen just looking at the example of ICE 1.2.3.0, actually managed to jump to the next S-curve or write the next S-curve or even create the new S-curve. And we can see it here also, former superstar companies, still Germany's most valuable company, SAP, they are still focusing on the enterprise resource planning systems, right? While others, such as Microsoft, Adobe, or NVIDIA, already writing the AI augmented business models, right? And that is what we see in every kind of industry. That is a lovely example I want to talk about. I'm always referring to that because it's a classic kind of thing. In 2000, Blockbuster was the biggest video rental chain on the planet. And it was headquartered in the United States of America. And they had the opportunity to acquire Netflix Corporation for $50 million. But they refused to do that because they were asking Netflix, what are you doing? And Netflix said, okay, we are shipping via post, we are shipping DVD to be seen, movies, right, to people, to have them watch latest movies. And later we want to stream them via the internet. And Blockbuster said, we are the biggest video rental company on the planet. What are you doing? Is shipping via post and streaming? What is streaming, right? We never heard about that. And the technology is not yet there. So what happened was they declined the M&A. And in 2007, Netflix launched the streaming platform. So 7 years later. And what happened was officially in 2012, Blockbuster went bankrupt, they went insolvent, and Netflix was sorry. Now, that is a nice story. It's the same like with RISE 1.2.3.0. No company is too big to fail, and no company is too small to succeed. But what it implies is you need vision and anticipation. So vision means that you're really getting ahead of society changes. That is what how Drucker calls it. And I always love the quote from Wayne Gretzky, the NHL superstar player. And he was being interviewed by Sports Illustrated in a famous interview. What is differentiating? What makes up a legend? So what is the difference between a guru, a legend, and a great player? And he stated, it's very easy. Great players skate to where the puck is. But a visionary, so I'm adding that, a legendary player is skating to where the puck is going to be. And predictions, even coming from top CEOs, may not always be correct. And I like to show that. And it's also a little bit funny. The quote from Thomas Watson, CEO to IBM in 1943, I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers. Even Albert Einstein, a genius, a Nobel Prize laureate, was not able to envision to be using nuclear power in the future. So in 32, he said there's not the slightest indication we'll ever be able to use nuclear power. The inventor of the car, the co-inventor of the car, Gottlieb Daimler from Mercedes, later said the demand for cars will never be above 1 million because there are not enough drivers, there are not enough chauffeurs, because he could not imagine that anybody would ever want to drive a Porsche or Ferrari on his own or on her own. I skipped this one. So, but what are you doing? How are you anticipating innovation and society changes? That is what already a colleague of mine at the Harvard University at Sloan Management Institute at the MIT, precisely, Professor Dr. Theodore Luit, was bringing onto the table already in the 1960s in a very famous article series in the HBR, Harvard Business Review. He said, we don't have to look at our products and what we can do or our service, but we have to look at the customers and their problems. Later, my professor colleague at the Harvard Business School, Clayton Christensen, who died unfortunately in 2020, he calls it jobs to be done. He said people don't want the product, so they don't want quarter-inch drills. They want a hole in the wall because they want to attach a picture of the family to make their living room more cozy, more personal. And that is, for example, what we did as well. So we were looking at so every kind of trend, every kind of macro environment analysis you do can lead to new kind of business ideas. And this is also the secret, or the I wouldn't call it secret, but this is also the cause or the reason for TikTok being very successful, not in India, but globally, basically. Because Now, we see that the attention, this is not a serious kind of research here. It's coming from Google Canada in 2015. And of course, attention span of human being and also goldfish has never been actually tracked. However, what we do observe is that the attention span of people is gradually declining. So it is stated here that the attention span of a goldfish is about 9 seconds, and the average human being in the year 2050 is 8 seconds, and of the modern smartphone user is 3 to 5 seconds. What has actually been researched on Spotify is that the average hit from 1950 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80 was continuously declining. So as a result, what we did was we were completely changing, for example, the textbook setup. Because we are asking 100 students all over the world, what is your problem with reading? Why don't you read books anymore? Because they're saying, oh, we have so many lectures at the university, so we cannot read a big book of 850 pages just on the topic of marketing. Even kind of a compact thing, Marketing for Dummies, is having 400 pages. So Professor Hollinson and I decided we set up a completely new kind of problem solution, a hole in the wall, which is we took a complex topic such as marketing and we put it into 100 pages. So we created the TikTok for marketing or business knowledge in general. So, and it's called Marketing in 100 Minutes. And you see here, Tuin, my friend here, is mentioned because with his help, we were launching it in India as well. And it's called Marketing in 100 Minutes in Sprint with Fun to the Point for All. So it's only 100 pages. So it's putting all the content here, basically in a very condensed format of 100 pages. You can read it in 100 minutes. So just like kind of an average movie. And it was a big success. And we also were exploiting and we're putting it into adjacent, we call it adjacent market strategy. So we were also putting it into adjacent markets. So we wrote, for example, also a book on mathematics, 5th class. I also wrote with a famous star here on the YouTube. He has 1 million subscribers on his German YouTube channel. This is the traditional school literature. Every pupil, they have to read that. And you see, it's very lengthy and it doesn't sell well and it's very, very complicated. But this immediately went on the bestsellers on number 3, algebra for young adults, it says, right? For young people. And we also have, again, the link to the UN World Food Program. You can see it here. Just in 4 weeks, it was in 2 kinds of editions. So in paperback and hardcover, it was ranked number 3 and 4 in the German, Austria, and Switzerland market. So it means also leadership means innovation leadership is about speed and agility. I mentioned agility at the very beginning because ambiguity calls for agility. So it's not the big that eat the small, it's the fast that eat the slow. I love that. And so basically, literally speaking, it's better to be the first one in Mumbai than the 10th one in Delhi, right? To get the logic. So speed matters. Speed matters in today's world. And also, a very important thing is that if you come around with a new kind of idea and you're an entrepreneur, you're a startup, right? A lot of people are saying, oh, we've never done this before. It cannot work, etc., etc. So they always have automatic naysaying, right? Because we have to understand that innovation is always antithetical, right? It's always the opposite to your core business. So you need to understand and need to be able to swim against the stream and to be different. Also, if you're successful later as a manager, as a leader, and with your organization, it is absolutely paramount not to be blinded by success. A lot of people then stop being innovative. So they are riding on the S-curve. They are continuously improving their products, but they are not jumping onto the next S-curve. And that is what one of the co-founders at Hewlett-Packard was always referring to, and I love that. He said, the biggest single threat of any company on the planet is to stay with a previously successful business model for 1 year too long. So you should not cling too long to what has led to last year's harvest. And you can see it also looking at superstar companies, looking at Apple. They're milking the iPhone, and that is a good thing to do, but they are lacking innovation in other kind of categories. They are lacking the next S-curve jump, while others are already there. Just looking at Apple AI, it's really not very promising what they're doing, and they admitted also this year that they're far behind. And analysts are estimating that Apple is 2 years behind the AI S-curve here. So leadership is also embracing risks, because as innovation is antithetical to your core business, what is bringing in the harvest, it is very, very risky. But salto mortale and the risk of being died or failing, right, is a prerequisite to success. When Gutenberg launched the printing press in 1452, 93% of all the people in Europe couldn't read, and 15% needed reading glasses, but they haven't been invented yet. So pretty bad timing. But the leader does not pay attention to that. So fear is not the opposite of creativity, but creativity is the opposite of fear. As a leader, you're really joining the team. You're not telling other people what to do. That is a manager. That is a boss, right? But a leader is really inspiring others. Your job as a leader, as an entrepreneur, is most of all to inspire people, to connect with people, to challenge the status quo, right? And to build a culture and an organization that is built on purpose. Because people like us do things like us. The peer-to-peer connection is absolutely paramount in a low trust world, and it leads to a culture of change. Steve Jobs didn't invent a single product, not even the iMac. Wozniak did. So you don't have to invent those people, but inspire and lead them. Innovation leadership means so to take the responsibility and take unusual path. And that is what I like to show here in this video here. That was all actually showing really a bike driver, professional bike driver during Giro d'Italia. For the first time ever, he was pursuing a different kind of approach, outperforming everybody else. Look at that, he's not pressing into the pedals, but now he's number one. But look at that. He's copying him. So that is also what is absolutely paramount. And as Mahatma Gandhi said, we should live as if we were to die tomorrow or today. But we need to learn as if we were to live forever. And I think that is absolutely paramount. So it means also leadership means to create a purpose and inspire others instead of just making money. So paramount is that, for example, Patagonia, the CEO is saying, Earth is now our only shareholder, because every profit that Patagonia is making, they are donating to fight climate change. And the statement from the CEO is, and the founder is, Patagonia is in business to save our home planet. That is also why we're joining forces with the United Nations. I'm also a member of the advisory board of United Nations Innovation Accelerator. And you saw here this book here, which my mentor calls The Standard Work of Holistic Marketing Management. So Philip Kotler endorsement here. That you can see it here very, very broadly. Every book sold helps in the fight against hunger with Share the Meal, right? So for every book sold, we are donating one meal to one person in need. It also means, and that is coming from my friend Guy Kawasaki, that we need to create a mission and a brand mantra. He said every company needs a brand mantra. So what the company is about. So for example, Numi says activating purpose, Allbirds. Mother Nature made us do it. So Allbirds is doing shoes, sneakers that are completely made out of eucalyptus and sheep wool. And my brand mantra is building a better world through education. That is also why we set up the Opresnik Business School, and we enable people to do an MBA completely online in 8 months' time. So it's absolutely unique without leaving home. So you can do it from everywhere on the planet. And without writing examinations, you just write reflective thinking reports. And what we do is we're donating 1% of the tuition fee to the United Nations again. And by doing that, we are combining the two SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, zero hunger and quality education. Coming to the end, and coming to the end. So the world is full of challenges that call for you as a leader and for entrepreneurs with creative mindsets and agility and vision. This is the picture of the year 2023 coming from UNICEF. So where they are teaching her how to ride the bicycle amidst the war. So against this background, what we created was, together with Professor Philip Kotler and my friend, Professor Dr. Sven Hollensen, we created a new kind of strategy framework. It was absolutely innovative, based on Blue Ocean Business Model Canvas, Value Proposition Canvas. We created the Pivotal Infinity Marketing Canvas. You can see it on the sticker here, where we said, okay, it starts with a purpose. Then we move to the customer segment. You cannot see it here, but in the video, what are their jobs to be done? And then we have innovative solutions, value propositions, but this is not only about pricing. This is about really customer perceived value, about communication, transfer, right, convenience. And then we have micro and macro environment all around of us. And then we are looking for customer advocacy. We want to turn stakeholders into ambassadors, but we don't want to do that transactionally at one moment in time, but we want to do it over the customer lifetime. Therefore, we call it customer lifetime value. So we can look at the little animation here that shows you the next generation framework in global strategy and leadership, which is the Pivotal Infinity Marketing Canvas. Marshall Goldsmith calls it the future compass of management, and David Aker says it will replace the 4 Ps. The colors, by the way, they are taken from the 17 SDG colors of the United Nations. This is what we call Pivotal Infinity Marketing Canvas, because it's the infinity symbol here. And we are also setting up the first Opresnik Pivotal Thinking Institute now in India. This is the book here. We'll also publish it in India together with the local Indian publisher as well. So everybody is successful already listening to me because you're potential leaders, you're entrepreneurs. That is not the question. But the question is always to me, will you choose to matter in this world and act as a leader to build a better society? And I trust and hope you do. Thank you very much. Namaste. Please feel free to connect with me.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful and informative session with us. And we have 2 startups with us in this session. and one is Mukul Gautam from the Live, and the second one is Seven Namdev from the Avail Digital Empire. So I just want to ask that is there any question from your side, Mukul and Shiva?
Yeah, it's a thoughtful session, and so thank you for this section. I have one question. May I know the how to retain our customers, how to retain our clients? Can you share your point of view on that?
Retain is
Yeah,
as important as
yeah,
acquiring, as getting,
yeah,
right? Because as the secret is that you have a long-term um, relationship approach, because that is also what we call relationship marketing, and that is also what we embedded in the model. Um, Most companies just look at making business with a customer, acquiring a customer. Customer is buying with me, but we need to see the customer. That is also what we're doing with the Amazon. We need to see the customer or any kind of a stakeholder as a partner over a longer period of time, over the lifetime. And it is not important to capitalize on the customer at this moment of time of transaction, but we are aiming at future profits, which are continuously increasing because of recommendation and increased buying frequency. I think the biggest thing is in that respect, in order to retain a customer, not to make him feel like, okay, we are done, we closed the deal, so that's it. But how you can incur a journey with a customer over a longer period amount of time. Talk to Tuin, and he knows that, and he's understanding. That's also my way of doing business. So, for example, I was really asked after I was giving a presentation in the marketing club here in northern Germany by two Dräger executives whether I can give the same presentation to Dräger people, so medical device company. It's not so important. And I normally a transactional perspective would have been I'm asking, okay, or they're offering something, and I'm asking for money, some kind of financial compensation or something like that. I was not doing that. So I was giving the presentation free of charge because I thought this could be an interesting company to work for in the future, because there's technology for life and they're doing a lot of beautiful stuff in the medical device business. And I was giving the presentation another time and another time, always free of charge. I never asked for any money, and they were not offering any money. But in the final presentation, in the third round, the CEO was also taking part, and he was saying, "You have a very practical approach. I want you to educate all my non-marketing people what marketing is, because I need to have a better understanding of the customer, and we need to focus not on the product, like Lloyd is saying, but on the jobs to be done, right? On the problems of the people." So I was training over a period of 10 years. I was training all kind of customers, right? And it is very important to understand that the customer is not getting the feeling that he or she is just a transaction partner, but a partner over a certain period of lifetime. And if the customer understands that, and you increase the loyalty, right, it will pay off gradually. This is always what Amazon's strategy is, and Amazon is the best company on the planet to learn from them with regards to relationship marketing, because they are having a very simple saying: growth over profitability. Profitability will come in the end automatically. So that would be my answer. So it's about the attitude you bring towards the client, towards the customer. You don't see it, like I said, in the infinity model. There's also the flow back to the company again. We want to have this lifetime value, customer lifetime value approach. That is paramount. That is absolutely paramount. Most companies just forget. So they made a deal with the customer. That's it. Right? They're not following up with them, etc., etc. After sales marketing, a very classic thing, is as important as sales or the acquisition process. And most companies forget that.
Yeah, I got it, sir.
And you see it looking at this funny game with the bicycle driver, right? The motorcycle guy was copying the bike guy. So there's a profound truth in there. Everything in this world that works, right? Whether it's a function, whether it's software, whether it's a design, is being copied in an ever shorter period amount of time. So you always have to keep innovating, and right, you have to build a brand, because two things cannot be substituted. Two things cannot be imitated. Brand and what the brand stands for, right? The brand identity, and the relationship. This cannot be copied. Everything else can be copied. When Apple was doing the first iPad, it was copied by Samsung. They made the Galaxy Tab, and Apple did take them to court and said, you copied our product. And the judges said, that's correct. And the first Samsung Galaxy tablets were prevented from being sold. But then Samsung changed it a little bit. They made it a little bit thicker, and then they were allowed to sell it. So it means for you as an entrepreneur to always keep on moving, and that is the tricky thing, and try to really to maintain the customers, to turn them into ambassadors, right? Because then you'll grow because of recommendation and because of increased buying frequency, and you also make the brand grow, right? That is absolutely paramount to understand. Well, most companies, they are successful at one moment in time, but very, very few companies stay successful.
Right.
Absolutely right. Is there any question
sir,
from?
for your valuable answer?
Okay. So thank you so much for this answer, sir. And Mukul, is there any question from your side?
Yeah. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, please.
It was a lovely session today, and we learned a lot about how to place a brand in the market. So, we are working in Axelize on the product that are very innovative, and the first time will be there or the launching in the market, and it is kind of an innovative product that doesn't exist in the market right now, as of now. So to the product that what like similar kind of a situation happened with TikTok. People are not fond of that short form content, and they have to make their market of their own. So when we are talking about the unit economics to the market, which is yet to be created, how should be planning for the strategies to form the unit economics and place our brand right fit in the market?
That is a very generic and very, very, very good question. Very good question. We believe that in today's world, where Generation Z is coming up, and they are more looking for purpose-driven brands. So therefore, we put, like Simon Sinek was also doing it in his famous talk with the Golden Circle, we're saying how, what, and no, I'm sorry, why, how, and what. So start with a why, that you first look at the purpose of the organization, and it needs to be inspiring not only for the customers but also for the employees that are working with you, because then they are more intrinsically motivated. So what I'm trying to bring across is that if an organization is just existing to make money and to call profit, it is not very inspiring, right, to people. But it's more inspiring for the people that work for you, but also for the customers, if you have a higher purpose that is also focusing on trying to create a better world, right, in a broader sense. That is what Elkington calls, a long way back, sociology guy, people, planet, profit. He calls it the triple bottom line approach. If we're just focusing on profitability, this is uninspiring. We may sell some products, but this is not very inspiring, and then this is not attracting a lot of people. So as an employer brand, etc., etc. So my answer would be always try to look at the customers, and have total customer focus and customer centricity but always focus on the problems, how you can solve the problems, not look at what you can do, look inside at your products and services, but look at the outside and what are their problems, what do they want? Oh, they want to attach a picture to the wall. So they don't want your drills, they want to make their living room more cozy, or I don't know, more personal. And that is what a lot of companies are forgetting, because they are just looking inside out. So they have clever engineers, they have good products, and then they think about, oh, what is good about my product, or what is good about my project or service, and then they try to market that and to communicate that. But that is uninspiring. It is better to look at the problems, like we said. We look at the problems of students. We look at the problems of executives in the organizations. What is your problem with the MBA? Oh, you want an MBA, but the problem is you're working, you're already an entrepreneur, but you want to do an MBA in parallel. But you don't like to go to the university or even online and to learn for exams. So we set up an MBA program which is allowing people, entrepreneurs, to do an MBA from everywhere in the world without having them learn material by heart and then recap in the exam. So they don't write written examinations and tests. That's the same kind of logic. And we liaised it with the United Nations by donating 1% of the tuition fees to help people in need who are starving. So that is what I'm saying. So the strategy should always be, in my humble opinion, purpose related, and not only focusing on one element, which is profitability, but try to balance all the P's, not the 4 P's, but the people, planet, and the profit. And that is why at the heart of the pivotal model, we have the purpose.
It was perfect. In our case, we are solving a problem. We are saving the lives of the people in road accidents and emergency situation, and also we have a product that help us with the carbon sequestration, which eat up the carbon from the atmosphere, and in return gives us the oxygen. So
Right.
we created these product by doing the perfect customer discovery, which includes creating customer personas. We did our primary and secondary research. We took hundreds of interviews of the potential customers, which we think will be the potential customer for the product that we will be developing, analyzing all the needs of the customers and everything around it. So when it comes to the climate product, which is Arctaru, people are very much into buying the product, but when it comes to making them buy the product which we created for their safety in terms of accidents and emergency situation, there we lack like making people buy the product, even while we have created a product based on their suggestions and what actually they need, and having a very loose-ended and open-ended questions where they have the paying capacity also for the product. So we found two different trend in the buying pattern when it comes to Indian market for these two different types of products.
Yeah, I understand.
So we will implement your suggestions in the furthermore
What has been proven to be very successful is to do focus group work. So you invite typical persona, so representatives of the buying center, and then go through the offering and their problems in a very structured way. That is what we did as well, and that is always very helpful. You told me that you are having hundreds of interviews and people being asked, etc. But you need to totally focus on the customer and their problems. A lot of people, if you just ask the people, interview the people, sometimes it's not getting you there where you want to be, because That is always what I'm saying to what Henry Ford was quoted long ago. He said, if I would have asked my customers what they wanted, they would have asked for faster horses, but not for a car. And I can give you hundreds of examples. So Google is asking every year 100,000 people, what do you want? How can we improve the algorithm and Gemini, blah blah? What is coming out of that? Nothing is coming out of that. But people know what their problems are. So if you do focus group interviews, and this is what Google did, and some people complained that the algorithm is wrong in the past. And Google said, why is that? And people said, okay, I cannot find proper search results for Britney Spears. So they were looking for Britney Spears. And Google found out, okay, they had a spelling error. They had problems spelling out how to spell Britney Spears, right? A-Y-E-Y with a double T, etc., etc. This led Google to change the product and to have the automated spelling correction in Google. But none of the people they asked before was ever saying, I want a spelling correction. So interviewing people, right, is one thing, but it may not lead to success because people don't know what they want. Because they can also, when it comes to innovation, people can always only describe products and services in terms of what they have, not what they want. If I ask people, how shall the next classic example coming from me, how shall the next Porsche 911 look like? Describe it to me. And then people say, oh, like the current one, sporty, probably hybrid and less fuel consumption, but sporty. And they give you a very vague kind of, they cannot tell you. How shall the perfect computer look like? How shall the perfect whatever smartphone look like? People don't know. But they know what their problems are. And this is, I can talk for hours about that. This is the secret to success. So you totally need to focus on it. We call it challenge, solution, impact chain. Challenge, solution, impact, CSI. Challenge, solution, impact. What are challenges of people? Then what kind of solutions can we bring onto the table? And what is the impact for the stakeholder, for the customer, in terms of time, in terms of convenience, in terms of money, in terms of security, in terms of image, in terms of whatever, right?
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful answer. And I just want to invite Mr. Tuhin, sir, for just cover up the session in our 2 lines. So that, and thank you so much, Tuhin, sir, for just making the session successful with the Professor Dr. Marc, sir. So can you please cover up the session? Then we'll close the session. Thank you.
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Yeah.
So it was a great session. It was a great pleasure to invite Dr. Marc on this platform. Dr. Marc shared his valuable insight to the young entrepreneurs. I think that this is being recorded in YouTube, and it is for the larger community of Indian startup community, startup community.
You have to speak a little bit louder, Tuhin.
Yeah, so that is the thing. So that is what that I think that it will go to all the people across the world, because this is being recorded, and all Indian startup community definitely will be benefited by this kind of the initiative that is being done by RISE Incubation Centre. I am really happy to be associated with RISE Incubation Centre, and simultaneously very much privileged to be with associate and Dr. Marc and invite him in this platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So, thank you so much once again for Professor Dr. Marc Oliver Opresnik for this wonderful session on leadership, and Mr. Tuhin Mukherjee, sir, for sharing your valuable thoughts with us. So, your leadership and the global collaboration have truly inspired our startup community and young entrepreneurship also. So here, RISE Incubation Center, and your word remind us that while our roots remain local, our vision and impact can be global. So on behalf of RISE Jhansi Incubation Center and the Smart City Jhansi, and the entire RISE family. We sincerely thank you for being a part of this meaningful conversation and for motivation our startup to think beyond the boundaries. So, with that, we close today's session with the gratitude and optimism. So, looking forward to many more collaborations opportunity for learning together with you, sir. So, thank you so much once again, sir, and thank you everyone for being with us. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure and honor. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye bye.